Anatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshulmilitan Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tidalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Yam Pravajantam Anupeta Apeta Krityam Rapayano Varaha Katara Aju Avam Putreti Tanmai Taya Taravo Binedus Tam Sarvabhutam Hridaya Munimana Tosmi Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Abhaktya Vihina Parada Lakshai Keep Tachtakamari Tarangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapanna Brinde Namaste Charanara Vindam Tavevasmi Najivami Tvayavina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tvam Nayanam Charanandike Vancha Kaupatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, so we begin by offering our most humble obeisance unto the lotus feet of our beloved Gurus, unto Sri Guru Pada Padmaniti Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asta Tarsat Sri Simad Abhaya Charnaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada and under Sri Guru Pada Padmaniti Leda Bhavishta Om Vishnu Pad Asta Tarsat Sri Simad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvami Maharaj unto our exalted Upanagura Varga, all the assembled devotees. And today is the appearance day of Sri Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Goswami Maharaj, great disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And so I never met him, and I was searching for something about him, couldn't find anything. I'm sure there's a site somewhere because he was very amazing devotee. He's quite close with Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. That's how I heard about him, because he used to go on parikram with Srila Narayan Maharaj. And I heard from devotees that did go on the parikram in the early 90s or late 80s, because I'm not sure when he disappeared, what year, that he was recognized as a very highly advanced devotee, but also one deeply immersed in the moods of Madhurya Ras. Right? And generally, most of the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada were somewhat cautious under the guidance of Srila Saraswati Prabhupada. The idea of the teaching Madhurya Ras, it had, and even studying it, had to be done cautiously, because there was so much influence of Sahajism in India, and which had also pervaded so-called Vaishnav groups, so-called Gaudiya Vaishnav groups. And so Saraswati Prabhupada was quite cautious and strict, and although all of the major acharyas that we knew were deeply realized and immersed in that mood, there was not much discussed, in public. I mean, Bhaktivedanta Maharaj and his mats, I've been told, would not even have pictures of Srimati Radhika and the gopis, just so that young devotees would not, be influenced, by some material conception. And I know that his staunch and very extraordinary disciple, Bhakti Vallabha Tirtha Maharaj, did not speak about these topics. Even on the disappearance day of Srila Rupa Goswami, when all the Vaishnavas had assembled at Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Mat, when he was asked to speak, he did not go into anything very deep about these topics, and sometimes they'd even speak about teachings of Prahlad Maharaj. And after the disappearance of Srila Narayan Maharaj, our Jadharani Shamarani went to him for some guidance because she had been painting under the order of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj to paint these pastime pictures from 10th canto, and Bhaktivedanta Maharaj very politely said, "Oh, I don't discuss these topics. I don't know anything about these topics." Although he knew everything about these topics, but he wouldn't discuss it. But Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Maharaj, our Srila Narayan Maharaj, is one of three people in the active Gaudiya Math at that time that would discuss these things. Him, Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, and Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And when he would be on the parikram, he would be so deeply immersed. I've heard stories of him at some pastime places, especially like places like Ter Kadamba, the place of Rupa Goswami, where he would, just like we read in our books that recount the pastimes of our Goswamis, how they would be rolling on the dust of Vrindavan, he would roll in the dust there. And he would also be soaked in his own tears and stunned and overwhelmed. And these were much smaller parikrams, small groups, confidential groups. And so these feelings couldn't be contained by him. And he would be immersed in that way. And I know he was the initiating guru of Sripad Bhaktivedanta Madhusudan Maharaj, who has his mat, the Krishna Balaram, the Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan, very near the Rup Sanatan Gaudiya Math. I forget which road it's on. And they also have a place on the Seva Kunj road, Seva Kunj Gully, for Yogamaya. And he's a greatly advanced, very extraordinary devotee, disciple of Bhakti Jivan Janardhan Maharaj, and sannyas disciple of Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. So he was very dear to our Shiksha Guru, Srila Narayan Maharaj, and very dear to the devotees in that assembly. And so without knowing much about his engagement and teachings and history in the Gaudiya Math, we simply offer our respectful pranams to him, honor him on this day as is appropriate for these great souls. It's, on the one hand, it's our duty, but on the other hand, it's a great opportunity and a joy, because honoring these personalities and praying to them on these days, we're praying to them especially for their blessings in our bhakti, because they, just like our gurus, are eternally present. They're capable of assisting us. They eternally assist in the Leela and pastimes and mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and they are aligned with us in our sampradaya. We're all coming from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, so they are our well-wishers, right? And so we honor and pray to him on this day. Now, we're going to read for a short while from the Gopal Campu of Srila Jiva Goswami, and hear this pastime from chapter 22, begging from the Brahmanas' wives. Right? Also, I want to read Krishna book. I was reviewing Krishna book briefly, and it's also quite long. Sometimes Srila Prabhupada's chapters are short. This one's long, and he goes into all the ins and outs of the philosophy here very nicely. So I thought, let's save that for last. That will be the sweetest, to hear how Srila Prabhupada explains this very confidential and subtle tattva, right, about these wives and their path towards ultimate perfection, being with Krishna in their loving relationship. So, this would, let's see, Let's start. Since the morning was so enlivening, Madhukant became enthusiastic and, realizing another pastime in the assembly, began to inform the assembly. Okay, so he's reciting this to the entire assembly, not just to the gopis. This is the morning, right? Every morning, Madhukant and Snigdhakant, who were previously the twin Arjun trees, previously the sons of great demigod Kuvera, Nala Kuvara and Manigriva, blessed by Narad to take the form of those trees so that they could be purified and liberated by Sri Krishna, and they became Madhukant and Snigdhakant, the panegyrists, the poets, the singers of Krishna's Leela. And every morning they go to the assembly of Nanda Maharaj, Nanda Baitak, and I'm not sure which Nanda Baitak. I think it's in the palace itself, if I recall. And Nanda Maharaj and all his friends and associates, and Krishna and his friends, and all the friends of Mother Jashoda, and everybody's there in different places. And they will recite sequentially all the pastimes of Krishna. But this is done in Apricot Leela, in Goloka Vrindavan. So the pastimes of Krishna taking birth, going to Dwarka, things like that, they don't actually take place in Apricot Vrindavan. They take place in Boma Vrindavan, Prakrit, when Krishna appears here. Even this pastime will not take place there. But they're eternal pastimes. The pastimes that only manifest in Prakrit Vrindavan, Boma Vrindavan, are, you could call it our earthly Vrindavan. They're called Naimitic, right? Because they appear within the universe. But they're also eternal, because these eternal personalities engage in them, and they're hearing them and remembering, oh, we did this, oh, we did that. We remember when Krishna was born. We remember this childhood, this demon being killed. And when they're recited by these eternal associates, everyone becomes completely absorbed, and it's like living the pastime by hearing it. And all the moods and all the transformations of love that take place in those pastimes are experienced by the devotees. And some of them, the pastimes, they were directly there, and some not. This is something that the cowherd boys participated in, right? And it's apparently it's not so confidential that only the gopis can hear. Some pastimes they don't talk about in the morning, they only talk about in the evening, in a smaller group of gopis, and sometimes with Priyanarma Sakas, right? Special confidential cowherd boys. But this one, everyone is eligible for, okay? So this is, because there's nothing confidential in Shringar Ras. There's no exchange like that, but these Brahmana ladies, they're going to experience great love for Krishna and be blessed by Krishna, but they're not dancing confidentially in the forest, playing water sports, all these things, as beloveds with Krishna, right? They're going to mature in their bhakti so that they may experience that at another time, right? So let's hear how Jiva Goswami describes this through the voice of Madhukant. He began with an introductory verse for a topic recounted in the 10th canto. Jiva Goswami is explaining this. Gopal Campu is an amazing book, which is a revelation of the teachings of the 10th canto, an expansion, just like Ananda Vrindavan Champu, on the pastimes themselves, and with his own special revelations through the stories revealed by these speakers. It's not imagined, it's not made up, it's not a created narrative in order to explain something. Everything is seen and revealed in the heart of Jiva Goswami. So, because he's there. He's Vilas Manjari. Okay, a very close maidservant of Srimati Radhika. So, and Rupa Manjari. And also, he is the only initiated disciple of Rupa Goswami, and was tasked with supporting and revealing the Shastric underpinnings of the confidential teachings that Rupa Goswami gave. So, now Madhukant is speaking. May Krishna, who while going to Kamyavan kept Braj marked with minerals on the southern side, protect us. In the summer season, he went to the Jamuna, which slaked the thirst of 100 billion cows, while praising the trees on the way. That's a lot of cows. Who can imagine how many cowherd boys? Because Krishna, he has 9 lakhs of cows. That's almost 1 million, 900,000. Sridham has 10 or 11 lakhs, 1 million, 1,100,000. But that's just 2 of them. How many other cowherd boys are there? They're uncountable. With 500,000, 1 million, but 100 billion. That's a lot of cowherd boys and a lot of cows. Wow. Let's see. 1 billion is 100 crores. A crore is 10 million. So, or you could say 1,000 million. And it's 100 billion. So if it's anyway, yeah, that's a lot of cowherd boys. So, first, but Braj is a remarkable place, Transcendental Braj. It expands and contracts to accommodate the Leela. And by the Agatana Agatana Shakti, that which makes what appears to be impossible possible, they can all be together in one place and all think that, oh, I'm very close to Krishna. Krishna's just over here, just over there, even next to me. Right? The cows are feeling this, the cowherd boys are feeling this. Otherwise, there'd be disturbance in the rasa, right? Oh, Krishna's over there, but he's not with me. Oh, yeah. There'd be lamentation, unfulfillment. Krishna shows himself and is with everyone at the same time. So, while this is going on, Krishna praising the trees on the way. Remember that from the Bhagavatam? When he's talking about these wonderful trees bending down, full of fruits, fragrant flowers, offering shade to everyone. First he let the cows drink, and then he drank. Then he desired to show mercy to the wives of the Brahmanas engaged in sacrifice on the pretext of hunger. Again, the hunger was just a way to arrange for this pastime. Sometime later, Lord Krishna, the son of Jashoda, surrounded by his cowherd friends and accompanied by Balaram, went a good distance away from Vrindavan herding the cows. So that's an introduction. Okay, that's like a Mangalacharana of Madhukant. Okay, so now he's describing the pastime. Sometime later, Lord Krishna, the son of Jashoda, surrounded by his cowherd friends and accompanied by Balaram, went a good distance away from Vrindavan herding the cows. When the sun's heat became intense, Krishna saw that the trees were acting as umbrellas by shading him, and thus he spoke to his friends. With joy he addressed each of his best friends in a sweet voice, as rumbling clouds. O Stoka Krishna and Ankshu, O Sridham, Subal, and Arjun, O Vrishaba, O Jashvi, O Devaprastha, and Varatap. These are very important cowherd boys. They're all leaders of the different groups of cowherd boys. Showering his friends with nectar, he spoke with laughter. He said, "The trees standing before me make me happy. You should glorify them one by one." Laughing, they said, "You cause us astonishment because you are the ornament among the best of all poets. Therefore you should praise the trees." Krishna then spoke with a smile. Make this a little bigger. Just a minute. How do I do that? There we go. Yeah. Let that be. Sometimes you can realize this. Walking through the forests of many trees, spreading happiness, having great thirst and joy, he came to the bank of the Jamuna. Praising the trees and desiring to show mercy to the wives of the Brahmanas, he avoided the path leading to the place where his friends could find food and came instead to the river. The cows drank the clear, cool, auspicious, tasty water. Then Krishna and the cowherd boys drank. Right, so what that mean? The path where they could find food. One time, sometimes it's described, I've heard from Vaishnavas, that they every day food is sent to the cowherd boys from their mothers by servants, right? By servants in the houses. And they meet them someplace. But on this day, there was a mix-up. And the cowherd boys think that, they missed us. Krishna deliberately went to a different place so that they'd be hungry. It's lunchtime. Where's our food? Where's our food? And then they become hungry, and then Krishna sends them on this mission. Because he knows the wives of the Brahmanas, they've been his devotees for so long, and he wants to fulfill their desire. And this is a great time for it, using hunger as a pretext, knowing that a sacrifice is going on. Whenever there's a sacrifice, there's so much food offered. And because it's cooked by his devotees, he wants to taste it. So, understanding that Krishna was hungry, his friends also expressed a strong desire to eat. That's clarified because they're saying, please, we're so hungry, what do we do? But they said that because they knew Krishna was hungry as well. But what was Krishna hungry for? Krishna's hungry to taste the love of these devotees, these Brahmanes. So, when Krishna's hungry, his great devotees, they're, simpatico, right? They're absorbed and aligned with his moods, and his heart is their heart, and they want to fulfill his desires. So, Krishna had left far behind the tall trees bearing fruit. The lunch that Yashoda usually sent at noon did not arrive. They all understood Krishna's desire and began thinking of the lack of food. With enthusiasm arising from their affection, desiring a way that Krishna could eat, they prayed for food while motioning with their hands. O Ram, Ram, mighty armed one, O Krishna, destroyer of the miscreants. Not far from here is a very great forest filled with rows of palm trees. Wait a minute. Let me see. Okay. All right, okay. I thought maybe we're going into Dhenukasura, because it begins in the same way, right? These beautiful tall fruits. So Krishna spoke with a smile. While at that place in that Ashok tree forest without a visible pathway, there are no fruits to eat. Where will you obtain food? If you have hunger pain, go carefully straight on this path, and you will see many sacrificial arenas, which are actually close by, but which appear far away because of the winding course of the Jamuna. Go north of Mathura, which lies to the south. Going there, beg food for me and Balaram from the Brahmanas skillful at rituals. But keep in mind the teaching that the beggar should always be tolerant. Okay. So it seems far away, but it won't be that far. He's giving a reason. But actually, Braj, again, it expands and contracts. And sometimes places that are far away, they shrink. When we hear about the gopis going here and there, we think, what? How do they do that in the morning? If we were to walk there, it would be so far. But Braj, they go from their places in Java and they go to Govardhan very easily in the morning, or they go to Nandagan. It's quite a walk, but it doesn't take very long because Vrindavan makes it easy to go here and there. So, go beg, but be tolerant. All right? That's good because these Brahmanas are going to refuse. And the cowherd boys, they're so attached to wanting to fulfill the desires of Krishna, they might insult the Brahmanas or do something inappropriate, right? Krishna's saying, whatever happens, be tolerant. And that's a good lesson for us, right? Some of the friends went together. Krishna remained in a huge cottage near the river in order to see them depart and return. Okay, so Krishna's there comfortable in a nice cottage, huge cottage. They went to that place filled with the aroma of ghee, streams of smoke, chanting of Yajurveda, white cottages, and the coming and going of Brahmanas, who were the priests at the sacrificial pit with auspicious fire. They offered respects and remained standing with folded hands, though the Brahmanas did not acknowledge them. Since the friends were equal to Krishna himself, this disrespect pains my heart. Madhukant's feeling the distress at seeing these devotees disrespected. Right? Our hearts should also be soft like that. That not feeling any anxiety for ourselves, in whatever condition we find ourselves, we have to be tolerant and understanding. But if great devotees are disrespected, that should pain us greatly. And so Madhukant, now he's in that mood. And reciting in that mood, everybody in the assembly that he's speaking to is feeling that. These dear cowherd boys have been disrespected. Now the whole audience. We have these things, called movie theaters, right? And you go and you get this visual and audio experience, right? But they've experimented with movies that also give smell, right? To immerse you more completely. And they've also tried movie theaters where you can sit in the chair and it'll move like this and that, and then you get more experience and sense of connection, and even 3D, right? And now they got these goggles that you can be totally immersed in an environment, right? But in this instance, they're completely immersed, not only visually by the descriptions of Madhukant, they're seeing it in their heart, but also emotionally, the exact emotions of the cowherd boys, their disappointment at not being able to satisfy Krishna's desire, and the further disappointment at seeing them disrespected. They're all connected like this. So the whole audience is completely absorbed. And Madhukant, this disrespect pains my heart. Recognizing them as only cowherds by their nature, form, and dress, the Brahmanas ascended the mountain of pride and stared at the boys with glances from the 7 upper planets. There's upper planets, middle planets, and lower planets, and they're feeling themselves so exalted compared to these ordinary cowherd boys who had actually ascended to a planet completely outside of this universe, the topmost of all Vaikuntha realms, and the topmost prakoshta or chamber of that planet. These cowherd boys are the topmost of all devotees, all the Brajbasis, right? So, for in that sacrifice, the friends, experiencing that Krishna was thin from hunger, spontaneously made their request with pain in their minds. For in that sacrifice, the Brahmanas chanted, Hum, Pat, Shoshad, Valshad, but never the chief name of Krishna. How could the boys have taste for that sacrifice? But for Krishna's sake, should they not respect it? Therefore, they made the request. Right, because the Brahmanas, they may not have known anything about Krishna, right? thinking him an ordinary resident of Vrindavan. And the Vedic sacrifices, these mantras, they refer to Krishna, but only indirectly, at least this particular series of mantras. So, they requested as follows: O Brahmanas, please pay attention for a short time. You who have great knowledge of the scripture can understand that Krishna and Balaram have great power. They have come near your respectable selves while herding the cows. Going here and there, showing prowess in great bliss, we have traveled far away from Nanda's house. The people in the house cannot see us. The two have become hungry because of their mock battles and have not received food from their house, which is equivalent to Vishnu's house, because they all held Krishna to be on the level of Narayan. Not that he is Narayan. Nobody in Vrindavan thinks he's Narayan. But they think, they have interpreted the words of Garga Muni, that he is empowered by Narayan. And he fulfills so many times the will of Narayan by killing demons, by doing extraordinary acts, right? But he's one of them. Extraordinary person, but one of them. And so, just like the gopis, Krishna told them that you've offended the river, Jamuna, you've offended Narayan and Surya Narayan. You have to make atones. I am your Narayan. Garga Muni has said that. So you pray and surrender and offer respects to me, and your offense will be forgiven, right? So they say like that. His house is equivalent to Vishnu's house. Being hungry without reservation, they think of you as their protectors, just like their parents, according to the custom of the family. They are asking for food from your house, which is like their father's house. Please go and bring some food. The Brahmanas are the head of the society, right? They're like the well-wishers and the teachers and the protectors of everyone because of their instruction and their guidance. So there's nothing wrong with begging at this place. They're supposed to give in charity everything from the sacrifice. That's what they do. But these Brahmanas, as we've heard before, they were attached to the fruits of the sacrifice. They enjoyed the fruits, the charity offered to them, the cloth, the ornaments, the jewels, the food. They were in need of some upliftment, some correction, some instruction. And the reason that they're going to get it is because they were married to these great, great devotees, just like the serpent Kaliya. Now, Kaliya was a very sinful personality, but because his wives were great devotees, Krishna heard their prayers. When Kaliya had been crushed, he was acknowledging and surrendering, but even then Krishna did not care. But when the wives prayed on his behalf, then he heard that, right? So Krishna becomes pleased with people by their connection with devotees. So these Brahmanas, they not necessarily have good qualities themselves, but their wives were great devotees. So the priests ignored the boy's words, since they did not have a taste for bhakti. The unfortunate priests who were proud of their knowledge of Scripture remained silent. The boys began to consider in their minds, thinking that we are fools, they speak in private. In order to prevent the boys from coming again, we will remain without speaking to them, since one should not give food at an improper time. Cowherd boys, very intelligent. They're not formally educated, but they know everything. They see everything. The boys then said aloud, the wise do not eat the food of an Agni Soma sacrifice, requiring initiation and involving animal sacrifice. And one should not eat the remnants of a Sotra Mani sacrifice at all. One can take food from all except these two sacrifices, O Brahmanas. Oh, the other day I thought that they had said that there was an animal in this one. Maybe not. They've made a mistake there. Because he's saying that in the Agnisoma sacrifice, where an animal is sacrificed, you don't take those remnants. Anyway, let's see what they say. Seeing that you are performing a sacrifice, we think that this is an opportunity to give food. Right, it makes sense. Anyway, let's see. In this way, the boys requested food at the sacrifice like beggars, and with logic established the meaning of the scriptures. Hearing this, the worshipable Brahmanas began to consider, they are making a point of teaching us Brahmanas about our duties out of greed. In doing so, they have skillfully become most talkative. Let that be. They seem to be most respectable. They are most eager to receive food without waiting for a charitable offering. It seems that this is the place where Kali has entered. This is Atmavan Manyate Jagat, right? Because they're ascribing the quality of greed to the cowherd boys. When actually they're the ones who are greedy. We've heard about that, what kind of Brahmanas they are, right? So they're saying, they want this food now? Oh, they're greedy, right? And they're so talkative. The Brahmins were proud of their elocution, right? Their ability to speak, and now they're criticizing that in the boys. They're acknowledging, they seem to be of good homes, they're well dressed, they seem intelligent and respectable, but they want something that is meant for us, and they're not willing to wait knowing that we're going to offer it at the proper time. But actually, the Brahmanas, their whole idea was that we should eat first, and then whatever's left we'll offer to them. So they're criticizing these boys very unjustly. And then saying, now I can see Kali Yuga's come. Yeah. Or the personality of Kali. Some people say that Krishna and Balaram are the supreme lords, but if so, how could they be suffering from hunger? Right, because in Mathura it was well known, or known to some extent, that yes, Krishna may be God himself, the Yuga avatar. He appeared in the house of, the place of Vasudeva and Devaki, and Kamsa keeps trying to kill him. They heard stories. Thinking in this way, they could not understand correctly about Krishna, who is hard to understand. Yeah, some people say it, but if he was, why did he have to run to Vrindavan? Why is he hungry? All these things. Though they were many, they were low class. Though they were twice born, they were fools. The rascal performers of sacrifice began discussing about the begging boys among themselves. Bewildered about what to do, the boys glanced at each other's face and, becoming ashamed, returned to Krishna. These Brahmanas, they just, among themselves, these foolish boys, but completely ignoring the cowherd boys. So they returned to Krishna, and Krishna, glancing at the bewildered boys, understanding that their intelligence had been defeated, he smiled and said, "Come, let us consider. You should obtain food from the Brahmanas as one does from trees." The boys, smiling, said, you know what is to be done. Our minds have been scattered by the winds of your will. Not the first time they've experienced a little confusion and amazement at Krishna's order and how things turn out in some incredible way. They have faith. Hey, nothing that Krishna wants can be denied. So now they're smiling. Okay, we went through that. Now what's going to happen? Knowing the minds of the Brahmanas' wives who had made efforts to see Krishna, he laughed while remembering them, promising them that they would definitely achieve their result, their desire. He said, it is good for you to think like this. I have established you here to determine the relative excellence of trees and Brahmanas. Those without pride do not execute dharma as the proud people do. Though you are not aware of this now, go to the wives of the Brahmanas. What's the difference between trees and these Brahmanas? We've already heard the trees are so generous, they give everything without expectation. Their fruits, their flowers, their bark, their wood, their limbs, everything. And previously Krishna said, oh, they're even bowing down, offering everything. These trees are glorious. But these Brahmanas, these miserly Brahmanas, what are they? What use are they? Actually, no use. So this is a pretext to show also not only the deliverance of the wives of the Brahmanas, but the upliftment and mercy shown to them as well later on. Without pride, they don't, in other words, how do pride people execute Dharma as opposed to those without pride? Proud people want you to know how glorious they are. They're Dharma Dvajis. They wave the flag of Dharma, right, in order to show how religious they are. They speak, and there's a Bengali proverb that I can't remember the Bengali, but basically it says that one who speaks too much about religion is actually a demon or an atheist, right? They use religion to rally the troops, so to speak, to gain the loyalty of genuine religious people. And that's true today as well. You see leaders that speak about compassion and concern and this and that. They're just using people's simple emotions in order to get followers. They don't really care about them at all, nor do they deliver these things, right? But those who are truly dharmic, they're very humble. They don't say very much, and they certainly don't glorify their own actions of charity. They take videos of themselves at a food kitchen handing out things to people, and, this is all a ploy. And everybody in Kali Yuga does it to different extents. Some are more blatant than others, but those who are truly dharmic and humble, they're very discreet about their charitable actions. You may never hear about them. Right? Like you, the wives are endowed with a wealth of effort to achieve only prem for me. They drank water only after 2 days in order to see me. And after 3 days, they ate only a few morsels of food. All the boys spoke in astonishment. Oh, is that true? Krishna said, certainly. So this is the quality of vrat that they're performing. Normal people are not capable of that. Regularly doing their bhajan, their remembrance of Krishna, and only eating just a tiny bit every 3 days, drinking water only once every 2 days. Very extraordinary. Krishna said, oh, certainly they've done. In astonishment, the cowherd boy said, we think that this is most wondrous. And why do they do that? Because it gives them more time to hear and chant about Krishna. They're not disturbed by anything. If you don't eat or drink, you're not even required to go to the bathroom, right? You're not cooking, you're not eating, you're not even going to the bathroom, right? All you're doing is hearing and chanting and remembering. After Krishna had spoken, the affectionate boys were eager to go to the wives immediately. Krishna, with longing in his voice, said, please ask them for food for me and my elder brother. He longing to taste their offering of their deep love and devotion, shown through the quality of the austerities they performed. Eagerly, one surpassing the other, the boys went to the wives' houses and saw the wives. The wives saw them. They understood that the boys were Krishna's representatives. And now there's going to be a description of the wives, the interaction of the boys and the wives, quite a contrast, description of their happiness and joy at being able to serve Krishna in this way, and we'll start that tomorrow. Offering obeisance to our beloved Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Sri Bhakti Jiva and Janardhan Goswami Maharaj, and to our Guru Paramparad, all the assembled Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis, Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.